Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Yingmin. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Houston Industrial Engineering Department. So today is our great honor to invite Dr. Zhuang from University of Buffalo to give this webinar. So let me first briefly introduce Dr. Zhuang. So Dr. Zhuang is a Morton C. Frank professor, Director of Graduate Study and the Director of Decision Risk and Data Laboratory at the Department of Industry and Systems Engineering at the University of Buffalo. And Dr. Zhuang has his PhD in Industry Engineering in 2008 from University of Wisconsin-Madison. And Dr. Zhuang's long-term research goal is to integrate the operations research, big data analytics, game theory, and decision analytics to improve the mitigation, preparedness, response, and the recovery for natural and man-made disasters. And Dr. Zhuang's research has been funded by many federal grants, including the National Science Foundation, the Department of Homeland Security, and Department of Energy, and so on. And today, Dr. Zhuang will give us a webinar on the topic managing misinformation on social media during disasters using the machine learning and the game theoretical approach. Then let's welcome Dr. Zhuang to give us this webinar.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Ying. And thank you very much for attending this seminar. I'm going to briefly introduce my research topics and going to the specific topic about the disaster, about this game theoretical versions and machine learning approach for misinformation spreading and management on social media. And I also thank you very much for everyone for attending. I see a couple of old friends on the call, and including Dr. Robin Dillon, who actually funded this research on misinformation spreading when she's at NSF program manager. Thank you to NSF for funding this line of research. So in general, my research has been focusing on applying game theory and operations research and big data analytics to study lots of disaster management related problems and also homeland security problems. I've been studying lots of attacker-defender games, like how to do the government's strategies, how to do the subsidies, and how to study the partnerships between the public and private partners in responding to disasters and preparing for disasters. And about 7 years ago, the big data analytics becomes a hot topic at that point, and I have many students approach me to try to use big data analytics to study some of the homeland security problems, and we mutually decide that we want to select social media, the information spreading as one of the topics to tackle those disaster management problems. And we found that this is very interesting problems. It's problem that probably is still there's still lots of misinformation, lots of rumors still going on right now. So it's actually very difficult to solve those problems. But we spent about 5-6 years to try to understand the problem, try to frame the problem from different angles, and try to provide some insights and some future research directions. And in general, I think lots of people, including myself, use the social media regularly and in our daily life, and also during disasters. During disasters, people actually use the social media more frequently. They probably spend half hour every day on social media, but during disasters or during some of the special events, you may actually use social media more. Almost 1 year ago, there was a grocery store shootings in Buffalo, and I was in Buffalo, and I received probably 5 text messages in just a few hours from that shooting. People ask me what's going on, how am I doing, and people certainly have been using social media and so the technologies to connect with people, your friends, and they tends to be more active using those techniques during those disasters. So on social media, there's lots of users, and there are lots of platforms. The users could include government users, could include private sectors, could include the private citizens, And they also use different platforms, like Twitter is one of them, but they have a Discord, they have a YouTube, they have Facebooks, and they have Instagrams, and there are lots of different platforms, even LinkedIn. And those platforms also like cross each other. They have lots of people, lots of information actually spread from one platform to another platform, and this makes the problems more difficult to tackle. And this line of research, originally we were studying how those some of the specific misinformation false rumors have been spread during hurricanes. And for example, on the right-hand side of this screen, you see this is actually shark on the highway. And we see this picture like many times, like almost every time that we have hurricanes coming to the US, we see that people tweet those images on social media. But there's no such sharks in the highway, but the people just seems to get excited. And I also had a couple of students who like tweeted those images on social media during hurricanes. I asked them why. They said, "Oh, it's a fun image. Just want to share the excitement when those hurricanes are coming." But therefore, some of the information that being spread during hurricanes, during those disasters, they may cause like more harm than just a fun picture. For example, like almost like 10 years ago, there's tweets saying that a confirmed flooding on the New York Stock Exchange. The trading floor is flooded under more than 3 feet of water, and we see that's information that actually more than 10 years ago. It's about like the early stage of Twitter, but it still caused some of the panics, like for the people who are interested in the stock markets and the stock tradings. And so we have been deciding to like focus on the hurricanes for various reasons. First, we want to stay a little bit away from the political events like elections. Like during elections, lots of misinformation, disinformation, and it's sometimes difficult to identify and to define those like misinformation and what is ground truth and so on. But so we focus on like disaster management, but for hurricanes, actually, it's pretty well defined because the hurricanes do not like an earthquake just happens in a few seconds. It's coming in like maybe 1 week of like warnings. So we see that there are lots of activities on social media that people started talking about those hurricanes, start doing some of the preparations, and then and there's also some time and time period for people to start some of the rumors and the misinformation, and also give some time for government agencies and normal citizens publics to debunk those information. So we use hurricanes as some of the case studies, and we studied 5 cases: the Hurricane Maria, Hurricane Sandy, Matthew, Harvey, and Irma. And for those hurricanes, we use the Twitter API, try to understand that how many tweets, the hourly tweets that people tweeted during those hurricanes, and we try to download those information, and we try to see that how those information was spreaded and how those information were debunked. And FEMA no longer use a Twitter like a rumor control page for hurricanes, but back then they tend to have like a one page for each of the hurricanes. So for each of the hurricanes that we studied, actually they have a like rumor control page that specifically lists that all the false rumors and the true rumors that has been verified that during those hurricanes. And for example, there's a very common rumor. It's called immigration. We call it immigration related rumors. They think that the people, when they seek shelters during hurricanes, they have to like show their IDs to this law enforcement because those shelters has been run by FEMA and other federal agencies. This has been cause of the panics in the southern like states like Texas and Florida, and we see these rumors all the time, like for almost all the hurricanes seasons. And but this is false. Actually, the law enforcement does not check the ID for the undocumented immigrants when they seek shelters during those hurricane events. And so we use that as a case study to try to understand that what's the people's behaviors during those when they are facing such rumors. And this chart showing that what's the people's behaviors when they are facing some of this misinformation. And we see that about 86% of the people actually just click the retweets. That means they just directly spread those false information. By the way, the false information in this case is eventually they're like confirmed as a false, like by the FEMA rumor control page. But when the people first time saw this information, they may or may not know they're false information. So we see that lots of people, they see those information conditional on that they did something, like 86% of them just click the button saying that spread, like just retweet those information. And about like 6% of them, the doubts this information, they're not sure that this information is true or not. So they actually they express their doubtings in their social media platforms. And about 10% of them, 9% of them actually seeking confirmations. So this is actually the behaviors that we really like, that we want to see that more people that say seeking confirmations if they are not sure about this information is true or not true. And for about like 86% of people that did spread the information, about 60% of them did not get any feedback. They didn't get debunked. However, 40% of them got debunked. Some people say that, hey, this information that is spread is actually a false information. This is wrong. And so that's the most interesting findings here. So this out of this 40% of them who got debunked, and 80% of them do nothing. Okay, this is actually the most intriguing findings that we saw that for this particular study. We see that 80% of this is the people who spread the false information in the first place. They may not know that what they spread is false, and they also got debunked. So actually, when they got debunked, they should do something, right, to correct what they did wrong. But 80% of the people do nothing. So that's actually the most striking result that we see. And about 20% of them, they clarified their original tweets. They say that, sorry, what we tweeted was wrong. I didn't know that it was wrong, and so on. And about 3% of them, they actually delete their tweets, which is also fine. If you spread some of the false information and then now you are debunked, you just you delete the tweets, that's also okay. So again, the 80% is actually the most striking result that we found, the thing that basically the people may not be that responsible, and even though they know that what they spread it was false, they also do nothing. And in the social media platforms, since everyone is connected by all these networks, and what would happen if people do nothing? If the people do nothing, actually, what will happen is this information could keep spread on their platforms, on their networks, and people are going to get more and more like information is going to be spread to your friends, and friends are going to be spread to their friends. So this information are going to keep going on, like in this social media like social networks, if the people do nothing. So that's just something that we learned from this case study is do nothing is actually shouldn't be the right thing to do. But however, we still have 80% of people choose to do so. And for the 10% of them seeking confirmation, we see actually about 75% of them did not get replied, which is another sad like the event that even seeking confirmation, majority of them do not get replied. But for people who did get replied, we actually see majority of them get debunked. That's a really good news, since that if you're not sure what is true or not and seeking confirmation, and then you got some of them got replied, and most of them who got replied actually got debunked. They know that the false information was wrong, which is pretty good. And so this on the previous page, we talked about what people actually do during those events. And then the next question is, what can machine do what could a machine do to facilitate this process? For example, if the people are not sure that if this information is true or false, is there could algorithm provide some of the potential solutions to this problem? And so some of my students started to writing of this codes and try to the machine learning code algorithms, try to see that, hey, how can we do using some of the features in order to predict if this information is true or false. And so the by features, we consider the two types of features. One is the content specific, that basically is the contents of the texture content of the tweets. And the also relationship of the given words, if the words, how does this textual contents compare to the database, and also the user-specific features, including the number of retweets, number of likes, number of followers, whether this account is verified or not verified. So like we consider both like user-specific features and also content-specific features, and we try to using the machine learning algorithms to train the machines to see if they're able to like detect these rumors. And so we have in this particular study, we consider like 6 cases, like the misinformation cases used for this study, including the Boston bombing like donation rumor. In this particular rumor, the people say that for every retweet that we receive, we donate like $1 to the Boston Barrison victims and pray for Boston. It doesn't create that big harm, even this is a false information, but it still got like 50,000 retweets. And of course, the donation did not happen. But there's another like a Boston bombing, like Sandy Hook rumors. This is rest in peace to this 80-year girl who died in Boston explosion while running for the Sandy Hook kids. However, this little young lady actually did not die, but they still see that retweet for respect. This actually got like 40,000 retweets. This is again, this is misinformation. And we have like Hurricane Harvey immigration rumor and also Hurricane Irma immigration rumor, as I described earlier. So this talk about how does the illegal, like undocumented immigrants, whether they need to show the ID or not. And the truth is they do not need to show ID when they seek shelters during those hurricanes. And we also studied a couple of other like bombing related to the Manchester bombing, Holiday Inn rumor. They talk about the Holiday Inn apparently taking kids who have been separated from, but actually it's not true, it's a false information. And Hawaii miso like false alerts is rumor. That's another very interesting misinformation rumor, is because it's actually this misinformation is actually sent by the government agencies. They actually, lots of people receive the cell phone message from the government saying that there could be a missile coming from North Korea, but actually this did not happen. It's a false alert. And for all those 6 cases, we collect about 16,000 original tweets. We do not consider this retweets as original tweets. We consider we collected about 16,000 original tweets, and we use students to code this ground truth to see if it's like if they are seeking confirmation or they are spreading these rumors, they are debunking, and to classify these tweets. And we also see that actually human coders also make mistakes. Actually, we see that the accuracy of the human coders is about 80% right. So about 80% of the time, there are 2 research assistants. They got the code that's the same, but about 20% of them do not match. So in this 20% of time, we ask the third student to verify if this which one is true. And so this paper actually got published. So I put a QR code there just in case that if you're interested to see the technical details, you can just scan this code and you can download this paper. And so we consider a couple of machine learning algorithms. We try to understand what is precision rates and what is accuracy rates and what is running time and so on. And we find out that actually the machines is actually pretty good. It's to identify those, to classify those rumors and to see if it's like true or false. It's about like more than 80% of the precision. It's actually the same. It's not, if not better than the human coders. And so after we've done this approach, we say, hey, the machines actually, they have the potential to potentially classify this rumors to be true or false. But what could the platform do, and what could the government agencies do? Like during those hurricanes, the FEMA's actually, they have a rumor control page. They actually like proactively spreading those debunking information on their platforms. And like during some other events, including like election events, we see that some of the platforms, they could block some of the users. They could if this users actually spread too much false information. And some of the platforms or government agencies, they could also like seeking new information, because they even at the beginning, they may not know that's what is the ground truth, what is true or not true. So we try to study that what would be the prescriptive analysis, that what should the platform do and what should this in this context. And we also have been working with a couple of stakeholders who are the digital media managers, to see that from their perspective, what's their priorities. What they told us is they're very busy, like during those disasters. For them, it's not just to debunk or not debunk, like to delete the tweets or not from the platform's perspective. But for them, the problem is there's so many potential misinformation. There's so many rumors going on, and they don't know that which one to spend more resources, like human resources and machine, computation time in order to identify their true or false. So we inspired by those conversations, we decide to study some of the optimal decision-making process, like from the governments and the accounts, and also from the platforms. What could the government do, right? For example, the government, they could choose to do nothing. They do not debunk this information. Or the government could choose to just debunk things that this is false information. Or the government, they could actually choose some time to learning, to see that's okay, whether it's really misinformation or not. And then the verification could also be incomplete information, could also provide false alarms or a type 1 errors and type 2 errors, and with some of the certain probabilities. And then the government actually can, after getting those new information, they can decide if they're going to debunk or not debunk. And of course, on the lower level, the users, the social media users like you and me, we still have our options to choose to debunk, choose to spread, to choose to do nothing, and then each of the stakeholders actually have their own objective functions, their payoff functions, and then we can see that what would be their optimal decision-making process with some of the structures of their payoff functions in this kind of a game theoretical framework, but on the staggered games, but with some of the lots of incomplete information. And so we studied 2 models for this paper that was published in EJOR last year. The first model is the selection of the rumors for clarification. So as I mentioned, during those disasters, there's so many potential rumors that they have to be dealing with, and it's not just to debunk or not debunk, but the question is which rumors or which information to spend more efforts on. And just to simplify, we start with the 2 rumor case. So we consider rumor 1 and rumor 2, and we consider the potential scope of the rumors and what is the potential consequences of the rumors. What will be the potential people could be impacted by those rumors. And then what is the subjective probabilities for the rumors to be true and false. And all those parameters, which is listed on the right-hand side of the screen, actually would play a role in terms of determining what the platform, what the governments would do in terms of which rumors to clarify. And then the player B in this case is the social media users. They are going to decide if they are going to support these rumors, they're going to oppose the rumors, they're going to almost do nothing. And then we see that the rumors eventually, after a few hours, after a few days, eventually it turns out to be the true or false, and then the consequences would pan out. And so this is the first model is for the government agencies and platforms to decide which rumors to clarify. And then the second model is to study the learnings, so how the learning play a role here. And in terms of the learning is not coming for free; they have to spend some of the resources to gather more information about the misinformation and rumors, and then they are going to make a decision to say that if they are going to clarify, they're going to disregard. And of course, the learning process could eventually coming from some of the uncertainty nodes, they could come in either to verified or not verified. And then eventually the player B, which is at the user level, they still play a role in this network setting. They're going to choose to disseminate, or choose to do nothing, and to oppose, or support, and so on. And so we have been studying this two models, and we studied this like the platforms and government agencies there, like the decisions, either they're going to do the clarify or not to do the clarify. And then the question is, what is the effectiveness of these clarifications? Do we have any of the empirical support for those clarifications from the government agencies? So we added another case studies to this paper, which, by the way, the QR code is here. If you're interested in this paper, you can just download this paper by scanning this QR code. And we use of this case studies from like 7 cases, from the 7 rumor cases, and 2 of them, they are the true rumors. That means even people they were not sure that they're true or not, but eventually it turns out to be the rumor, the content itself is true. And we have like false rumors. The false information has been spreaded. And we, on the right-hand side, we have the before clarification and after clarification. So the clarification is by the government agency. So through the rumor control page, through the like active debunking efforts, or just clarification efforts for some items in the true rumor case. And we see that the green color means that the users showing the support. That means the users, the social media users, the support is the true rumors. We want for the true rumors, we want this green area to be as large as possible. So interestingly, we see that for the 2 true rumor cases, that in both cases, after the government's doing the clarification, and in both cases, the user support actually increased, like by 6% and by 0.2%. But in both cases, they're running to the right direction by like supporting supporting this the contents of the rumor after the government clarifies. So that means the government clarification still play a positive role. And for the false rumors, for the 5 false rumors cases, we see that the blue area is actually the users, they are showing the negative, they oppose this false information. We also want this like blue areas to increase after government clarification. We see that actually for all the 5 cases, the users actually the response actually moved to the right direction. Actually, the users showing oppositions actually increase across all the 5 cases, which is another it's a good positive sign. So and of course, in some of the cases, opposition doesn't change too much. For example, for the Boston Marathon bombing donation case, because the consequences are relatively small, they just ask you to donate, ask you to retweet, and see that they're going to donate $1. So it still shows that lots of people, they are supporting this rumor, false rumor. 47% even people think that it's false. But in most of the other cases, we say actually majority of people showed like understand that this rumor is false after the clarification. But again, for all the 7 cases, we see the clarification actually plays an important role and to the right direction. So we see that actually this could be effective based on this empirical studies. And I think we probably have about 10 or 15 minutes. I'm going to very quickly say that talk about a few other research topics that I've been working on recently. I've been getting involved in one of the Department of Homeland Security Center of Excellence headquartered in Northeastern University. It's called Sentry. It's a soft target engineering to neutralize the threat reality. We've been working on try to understand how to protect the soft targets like supermarkets, schools, K-12 schools, and universities, stadiums, place of worships. And my role in that project is I'm leading the thrust on like risk assessments and deterrence. We try to predict and assess the threats to the soft target and crowded places and try to deter and mitigate the threats. I'm working on some of the like game theoretical versions of the models, try try to think from the threats perspective, the adversaries perspective, what they could do, and what we could from the government agencies perspective and security agencies perspective, how to better protect those those targets. So we visited Buffalo TSA and try to understand that what is the multi-layer, multi-threat model for the airport security, and try to understand that actually there's a multiple potential pathways for people to go to the cockpit of the airplane, not just through the passenger. It could be insider threats, could be the local agencies, could be the airport employees, and so on. But on the other side, what would be the potential multiple layers of blocks that we can, the efforts, countermeasures that we can do to block those multiple pathways. And we're also been trying to study that how to prevent, how to minimize the K-12 school shootings. So we see that actually the trend is going up over the years. And it happens not only just inside school, but also outside school, such as parking lots. And so we've been trying to model like the multiple layers of like protection for those school safeties, and with using some of the real data and of the real like success rates and the fatality rates that we see from the databases. And some of my students have been working on some of the digital twins models and 3D models and simulation models, and what will be the optimal allocations of the cameras if you have limited resources, and how to allocate between the technology and also the human, the personnel. And sometimes we see that one of the security guard has to watch like 50 screens, which is doesn't make sense, and how this AI could play a role, like automatically detect the threats through this video inputs. We have also been working with the Border Patrol, talk about how to secure the border, both the northern border. This actually is the US-Canada border, which is like 30 minutes from where I live, and also the southern borders. And we were in helicopters trying to see that how to protect the southern borders from the potential undocumented immigrants, and by like better allocating the limited patrolling resources. And of course, the supply chain thing on everyone's minds after the COVID. So we try to understand that what would be the optimal, what would be the resilient supply chains, and what would be the cost of the resilience of the supply chains if the supply chain has to shift, become more resilient. Then what would be the cost and the benefits of doing so, and the cost of benefits to whom, to which stakeholders. And finally, I'm working on a couple of projects on like fire management, try to understand that how to better allocate resources to protecting protecting from wildfires and structure fires and so on. And so there's lots of data, lots of data in this project, and also lots of potential like OR techniques and game theoretical models could be used there too. I think I probably have a couple of minutes for questions, but if you're interested in any of the research topics, feel free to contact me. You can email me, probably the best way. But thank you very much for the organizers to organizing this seminar, and I'm open to questions.
Thanks a lot for the informative webinar, Dr. Zhuang. And for the audience, if you have any question, please type your question in the chat so the speaker, we can see your question. Okay, so before the audience type their question, maybe I could start with some of my questions.
Sure.
A very interesting topic. So first question I have is regarding the machine learning based approach to classify whether the rumor is false or true. So based on my understanding, in real life, we have a lot of, we think it's the true rumors, right? And those misinformation may be just a minority of them. So I was wondering how this imbalanced issue is solved in that topic.
Right. So that's excellent question. I don't think that's going to be an easy solution, but this the technology could help us to give us some warnings, right? It doesn't have to like just immediately like delete those information, but it could like provide some of the bubbles, or maybe just like a green lights, or like a yellow lights, or like red lights, things that okay, this could be potentially false information, right? So that's we give I think some of the platforms they already started using that. You may get some of the warnings, say, hey, if some people send you some message, please be aware this could be a spam and so on. So I'm imagining that this type of techniques could be used more and more, so that the algorithms could assist humans to make decisions to if you want to spread this information, if you want to like debunk, with understanding of this could be type 1 or type 2 like errors could be go both ways.
Thank you. And regarding the a decision-making model to inform whether government should clarify the rumor or not. So I have some question here, which is firstly, for this, the motivation why the government cannot clarify all the rumors is because of the cost it associated with resource constraint, like which perspective you consider, more from the resource constraint perspective or like the cost associated with it?
I think it's more like because it's during disaster, during the emergency events, there's no like additional cost. So it's more like from the constraints of the resources, including the human time. So actually, the people are very busy during those disasters. They don't have time to deal with this, so many like requests for clarifications, and so I think that is the major consideration in this case.
Okay, thank you. So that's also the constraint you modeled, you incorporate in the model. So you can only select or you need to prioritize the rumors to select a subset of them to clarify. Is that true?
Right, that's right. So that's actually we clarify the rumor 1, rumor 2, but depends on the potential scope of the rumors and the potential consequences of this false information.
So I was wondering like the connection between the two topics, right? The machine learning based one, how it can help you inform the second one. So but I also have some concern, like if you have the new rumor coming, you may not have enough training data that you can train the machine learning model to give you better or more information about how to prioritize them. So do you have any like answer or potential solution to fill this gap?
Yes, that's an excellent question. I would slightly disagree that we don't have training data. So actually, for example, for the features of the user-specific features, it's actually lots of false information has been spread by like the bots, so not human beings, but actually it's just use their networks to spread the false information. So some of the user-specific features could easily, it's already there. This data set is there, so you can use that as one way to say that if they're like a true or false. On the other side, the content specific depends on some of the specific topic, right? If you talk about some of the conspiracy theories, talk about like a global warming, some of the topics, that's we still, even this could be a new or like a rumor like today or like coming out, but this rumor may already shown up like 5 years ago, 10 years ago from this like a bigger database, depending on how we train those algorithms. But you're right. If it's absolutely new topics, then yes, we don't have the data to train this, so that most likely they're not going to be picked up.
Okay, thank you. That's my question. Any other question from the audience? I think we don't have question from the chat box. So Joe, do you have any question? Joe probably.
Hi. Yes, so I just wonder how, let's say, I think the most of the problem you're solving right now is that I would say heavily rely on data, but how would you, I mean some of them actually collected from the public, domain, like a Twitter or something. So how can you guarantee the data quality. I know that you are dealing with the data, try to see what would be the misinformation from the, from the data. But before that, how you consider the data quality you collected for those different type of application.
Right, the quality of data has always been a problem. Like even for the early stage of this projects, when when undergraduate students, when they try to clean the data, they have been facing lots of issues, spend lots of hours, like hundreds of hours, try to just clean the data. And sometimes if it's garbage in, it's a garbage out. So we need to be very careful about this data quality issues. But on the other side, I think we believe that the machines and the technologies and machine algorithms, they would assist the human beings to make some of the decisions in a much quicker way. Like one of the observations that we see that the human beings also make mistakes. The accuracy is about 80%, which is very similar. It's actually lower than the machine's accuracy rates. So we said, depending on what we compare to, I don't think the machine can do 100% right decision, especially considering the data could be better quality. But the point is, as long as they are able to make a better decision compared to the status quo, I think they still have some values of doing research and practicing that.
All right, great. Thank you so much. I think that's important.
Okay, so I think we don't have more questions from the audience. Then I think we will conclude today's webinar here. And thanks a lot for Dr. Zhuang for this interesting and informative webinar. And we will also post the recording of the webinar online. If you are interested in reviewing the webinar, please feel free to do it.
Thank you so much, Ian and Joe, and thank you everyone for attending, and enjoy the 20 minutes additional time of your day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Zhuang. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.